some of your activities, and I just wanted to kind of refresh your memory and kind of guide you a little bit more when talking about the present subjunctive with emotions. So when we talked about the present subjunction of in chapter 12, we were talking about the present subjunctive of will and influence. Basically, how do we express something that we would like others to do? So what we did was we had a main clause that had the expression of influence and will, then always followed by the que, and then you had the subjunctive clause idea saying stuff like es necesario que traigan los libros, right? It is necessary that one brings their books and stuff like that. So now that we're looking at chapter 13, I just wanted to point out that truly nothing has changed when using the present subjunctive. What has changed is the reason why we use it. So now we're talking about the present subjunctive with emotion. So if you notice, the main clause now includes the expression of emotion. It still has the que, and then you'll have your subjunctive clause. So in this list of expressions of emotion are now new, and so we had the will and influence ones that you can find on, sorry, I'm going through our book. All those expressions were on page 423 with some of those verbs that were irregular. And so now we're just adding another set of expressions, but nothing has changed. So your conjugations for regular verbs are still going to be the same. Your irregular ones that you can find on page 423 are still going to be the same. Okay, so in this activity that I noticed was the one that gave us most trouble is if you have a present tense statement, how do I change that to then have a present subjunctive transformation? So in number 1, for example, where it says muchos animales están en peligro de extinción, that's a statement, right? There are animals in danger of extinction. That's it. There's no change about it. There's no doubt about it. Well, now we want to put some emotion to it. And so in the activity itself, in 13.1, the activity is called cambiar. They gave you the emotion and they told you es triste. So now you have to try that, exchanging that present tense statement into a present subjunctive transformation in this same stuff. So you have your main clause expression would be es triste. Always, always, always have your que. And then your subjunctive clause would come from the present tense statement. So then I would say something like es triste que muchos animales estén en peligro de extinción. Notice that my present tense verb están now changes into my present subjunctive estén. Okay? So then Nicolás no va al lago hoy. Nicolás does not go to the lake today. That's a statement, but then they tell you, you know what, it's a little weird that he doesn't. And so you would transform it into es extraño que Nicolás no vaya al lago hoy. Okay? So keep a look at these activities and when you're doing a transformation from a present tense statement to a present subjunctive idea. And then on that same 13.1, I noticed with the activity called preguntas that we were having some trouble about like what the question is asking and how to answer that. Okay, so if, for example, number 1 said, ¿de qué te alegras? Right? What are you happy about? Me alegro de que Ricardo estudie ecología. So again, the red is marking that present tense, present subjunctive verb. And then, for example, number 2 says, ¿qué temes? What are you afraid of? I am afraid that, so that's the emotion expression, okay? Me temo que muchas personas no se preocupen por el medio ambiente. Again, this is it's a reflexive verb that is expressed in the subjunctive. So don't forget your reflexive pronoun right here. Okay, so Who is the person that feels the emotions? Okay, so make sure that you're understanding the question before you select how to go about the answer. Because when these are reflexive verbs and that reflexive pronoun, don't forget, me alegro, myself, te alegras tú, se alegra, third person singular, nos alegramos, we, os alegráis, vosotros, y se alegran, your third person plural. Okay? Me alegro de que Ricardo, I am happy that Ricardo studies ecología. I am afraid that many people worry about that. Okay? So that's where I notice the most issues in these activities. So with all activities, with all the things that we do, please do not forget that spelling matters. Your accents matter. And try to give yourself some time to go back and edit your responses. Pronunciation is very important, especially now that the difference between a present tense and a present subjunctive is very hard sometimes to tell. So remember those pronunciation activities that you did in 101 to just make sure that all the letter A's are pronounced the same. A, E, O, U. Break down bigger words. Don't feel intimidated by them. Break them into a smaller syllable chunks and pronounce those. This is where a good idea of using, for example, an online translator could come in handy. You type in the word, and then they have the opportunity for you to just click on the little speaker icon, and it'll pronounce it for you and give you a little idea if you don't have any other way of hearing that particular word in. And so basically the moral of the story is you have got to give yourself time to edit your work. So please keep an eye on that. Go back into your grade book. Look at activities where you struggled, where you didn't have a particularly high mark. I've left feedback that can help you. Some activities I just look through to see some sort of pattern, and so I don't leave you specifically. But if my feedback does not help you, or if the feedback's not there, okay, that's a great reason for you to come and meet me during office hours, or email me and say, hey, profesora, I'm looking at this particular activity in this particular section, and I'm struggling. Or better yet, when you're in the activity, just submit a request for help. That gets me right away into my dashboard, and I can do my best to kind of help you and guide you through it, especially as we progress in the subjunctive that we started last lesson, but we will continue that in this particular lesson. And then the subjunctive doesn't stop there. Again, we're doing it in lesson 13, but as you prepare and look ahead, we will also look at the present subjunctive in lesson 15 next semester. And from now on, all the chapters on at the 202 level will have some sort of subjunctive. So I really want to make sure that we have all the basics covered and that I can answer any questions that you may have about the present subjunctive and how to structure a subjunctive idea in general. Slow down. Read your instructions carefully and look at the example to understand what you're expected. I don't know why this got messed up. My apologies. But I am noticing that in a few of the activities, you guys are not reading all the instructions, and you are not reading the examples and the notes that I left you. So that little apple that I showed you how to go about a few videos ago is very important, because I've left you extra clarification on the activity.